Welcome back to the weekly recap. I'm Matt Wacker. A group of Lebanon High School students traveled to the East Coast last month as part of an advanced U.S. government and politics class. Leanne spoke with 4 senior attendees and their instructor, Amanda Pershall, to find out more.
One of the things I get to teach is advanced U.S. government and politics, normally called American Heritage, which this is its 51st year in existence. Dr. Tom Luthi started it quite a long time ago as a way to help students learn more in-depthly about both American history as well as American government. So it's now a dual credit class through Drury University, and it culminates kind of in the spring with a trip to Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and New York. Let them experience in a more concrete way through, going and doing and being a lot of the places that they've studied.
My name is Cade Winfrey.
Jaslyn Wells. Presley Gross.
Corey Britton.
My favorite day was Mount Vernon when we got to see George Washington's house, which was super cool because they had a lot of stuff there from his actual life when he was there. They had the actual bed that he died on there, which was really freaky, but really cool.
I think the coolest thing I did was the 9/11 museum. They had this little area where you went and they had phone calls that some of the people had made back to their families. It was really sad.
We also went to the Holocaust Museum, which was another one of the really sad days, but that's something I've always been interested in, but never I've always just had an overview of the whole situation, and so I actually got to read the personal stories.
The best thing that I saw on the trip was one night a group of us went to go see Mean Girls on Broadway, and we got to see the original Broadway cast because it just aired, and there were a lot of important people in the audience like Andrew Lloyd Webber.
The best thing that I saw was when we were in New York City. We walked across the Brooklyn Bridge at 11 o'clock, so it was pitch black, and all the city lights were beautiful. There were a lot of police on the bridge while we were going, but after we got into Brooklyn and we went down a bunch of alleys to get to the subway, and that part was a little bit scary.
We got to meet the Vice President, Mike Pence. It was all of a sudden our tour guide was just here, you might be able to meet the Vice President. So we all ran to go meet him, and he shook a lot of our hands.
It's 51 years in the making at this point, and so as you talk to people around the city of Lebanon, it is amazing to me how many people have been touched by this trip. When you ask our school board or various business leaders in town, they were on this trip as a kid, or their parents did, or their students have.
To freshmen or anyone that's thinking about taking this class, I say go for it.
Yeah, going on a trip with your family and stuff's really cool, but going on a trip with 20 some of your best friends from school is awesome.
The process to get to this class is hard, and people will say, oh, it's not worth it, you shouldn't do it. But do it. It is so much fun. It is so worth it.
Yeah, I think coming back from this trip, I'm so much closer to people than I was before.
Just had a really huge impact on the community as far as helping to get people involved in what does government look like, both through going to the Capitol and that kind of part of the trip, as well as just experience what does life look like outside of Laclede County and giving students that opportunity.
We went to eat at Sylvia's, which is known for their soul food. They had cornbread, and that cornbread was life-changing. It was so good.
We went to Little Italy, and that was super good. It was authentic Italian food, super good.
One thing we learned on the trip was that there's a lot of different people than you'll see here in Lebanon, Missouri. And that was one thing that took a bit of adjusting, where everyone there was always on the go. And it was really cool, but at the same time it was a little intimidating, but we got used to it. And I think that was one benefit from the trip.
Also, it was crazy how many different languages everyone spoke. You would walk down Times Square and you could hear one language on this side and one language on this side, and you couldn't understand any of them. So that was cool too.
Having a group of about 30 kids, we had to keep it going, and we got in trouble multiple times for being in the road when cars are honking at us. So it's just a lot faster than what we're used to.
After going to New York, I would never want to move exactly there, but I would definitely want to live in the city, probably teach in the city.
I think if anything, it reassured my decision that I don't want to leave. I want to go to college and then move back here. I just like the friendliness of having a smaller community.
Going on this trip just kind of rebooted my idea that I want to travel a lot, just because it's so cool to see different cultures and everything like that. And now that I've been home, I miss it so much.
A very special thank you to Principal Kevin Lowry for the photographs. Embattled Missouri Governor Eric Greitens attended Phelps County's Lincoln Day event at Matt's Steakhouse on April 27th, presented by the Phelps County Republican Central Committee. Jobs were the primary topic of discussion as the governor continues to work on bringing more jobs with higher pay to the state. Greitens also announced a work initiative for veterans that allows use of their military skills within the Department of Natural Resources and the Missouri State Parks system. A Fort Leonard Wood instructor has earned the U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command's Civilian Instructor of the Year Award for 2017. James Benton competed with more than 64 colleagues from centers and schools throughout TRADOC. Winners were selected after 2 rounds of judging based on performance in technical knowledge, communication skills, and classroom management techniques. Benton will be presented with a Commander's 4-star note, Certificate of Achievement, and a plaque during the 2017 Instructor of the Year ceremony in August. An Arizona man was arrested on the night of April 25th after an apparent bar fight broke out in downtown Rolla. 30-year-old Leroy Wayne from Fort Defiance, Arizona, is charged with felony counts of first-degree assault and resisting arrest. Officers arrived at the Grotto on Pine Street and found a victim lying on the ground bleeding from the face. Wayne attempted to run but was tased. Bond was set at $100,000. A West Plains man was arrested on 3 felony charges after allegedly firing a gun into an occupied vehicle. Robert Halfacre came to the West Plains Police Department on the night of the incident and reported a red Pontiac following him on Thornburg Street. The car pulled alongside, and Halfacre identified 20-year-old Jesse Dalton holding a silver handgun. Dalton fired a shot that penetrated the driver's side door and continued shooting numerous rounds as Halfacre sped off. Halfacre was unharmed. Dalton was taken into custody on April 27th and is being held on a $150,000 bond. Missouri State University in West Plains has a new chancellor. Dr. Shirley Lawler will take the helm on June 1st. Lawler served as provost and vice chancellor at Ozarks Technical Community College before retiring in 2012. She replaces Chancellor Drew Bennett, who announced his retirement last August. The West Plains Civic Center hosted its 5th annual OzCon last weekend. Last year, OzCon was cut short by an historic flood, but this year the only flood it saw came in the form of new attendees, vendors, and special guests. With more on this, here's Jacob Rudolph.
Thank you, Matt. This year's OzCon saw new faces from all around the Ozarks and beyond. I first spoke with Brianna Lane to get an idea of what it takes to produce OzCon. All right, Brianna, how many years have you been a part of OzCon?
I've been to OzCon since the very first year, volunteered for 2 years, and finally this year I'm the media coordinator for OzCon, so I've been part of it since the very beginning.
And how long would you say it takes to set up OzCon?
After we finish a con, say last year's, we start right off the bat making up plans for the convention for next year, so it's an all-year process that we do it.
So it's my understanding that each year you guys try to help out a local charity. What might this one's be?
This year's is Christo's House, and we love helping the community charities. We want to help the community as much as we can, so we want to use almost all the charities. Each year we're going to cycle through them and help provide for each one.
Good. Out of all the guests that have come to OzCon, who would you say might be your most memorable one?
Honestly, it's this year's Irony Singleton. He is the most happiest person I've ever met. He will bear hug you and he'll say that you're the best person, and he will tell you, I was wearing cosplay and he said, you look amazing. He said, you just make this con amazing. And we asked him if he was enjoying OzCon and he said, I love it. I love it here.
Next, I found myself amongst a group of Dago fighters and had to learn more. How long have you guys been a part of OzCon?
OzCon's first year was, 5 years ago?
I believe so.
And when we found out this was going on, several of our members were part of the college, and they talked to CJ, and he was very excited, so they invited us to come into some meetings and just throw some stuff around. And when we told them what we did, very interested, and we've been a part of OzCon since its founding.
After a bit of sparring with Dago here, I spoke with some of the vendors and attendees to see how their OzCon experience was going. And so far, how would you say you like it?
It's cool. It's a small hometown vibe. Everybody here has been really, really nice to me so far. It seems like everybody's having a great time, and I'm enjoying myself. So yeah, it's been great.
Pretty well. Like, really great people, really, like, kind of cozy, fun convention. Everything's been running smoothly. We've been teaching panels almost all day, both days. So it's been really fun to do that. So
clearly have been walking around, been looking around and stuff. What might you say has been your just favorite part of these past 2 days?
For me, it's the gaming setup over there, like all the miniatures and everything, and like seeing everybody like super in depth with what they're doing. I'm like, because we do almost 30 conventions a year, so we get to see a lot of the costumes. I already know a lot of the other vendors, but it's getting to meet the people who are here at the convention that's making OzCon so special. So,
well, how many cons have you been a part of, and how's this one maybe different from the others?
This is my first con I've ever been to, actually.
This is my second con I've ever been to. This is the first con I ever cosplayed at.
This is the third con I've been to. I've been to Anime Expo, and I've also been to one in Portland. And I really like this one because it just feels very homey, and I like seeing everyone's homemade costumes because like Anime Expo is such a big one that like it's all professional cosplayers, and I just like seeing people like do closet cosplays and just have fun with it.
I've seen a lot of growth with OzCon, especially this year, being able to bring in like Iron E. Singleton, James Phipps with JF Costume Creations has been amazing. It's been nice to have, see a bunch of vendors with art. We've had, comics, everything else. It's nice to see the growth as well as the tabletop, everything like that. I mean, it's a really great convention. I like the way it's growing.
I gotta say, I like your cosplay. How'd you get it put together?
Well, I actually got most of the stuff here I bought from back there, but the jacket's an old band jacket that they sold at a football game. I thought it was just the hats that they were selling, but handed the guy a 20 and he gave me the hat, the jacket, the slacks, like everything. And I was like, this is how superheroes are made. So I had to just wear this jacket at some point. So I built the costume around it.
What's your favorite or best memory you've had here at OzCon?
I mean, personally, my best probably is one, we got the big memorial over there for Chris Roll. That really hits a, spot to me. I like being able to see everyone come together and do something like that.
And I would probably have to say that my favorite part as soon as I walked in was just all these tables set up for like tabletop games. It's something I'm trying to like maybe wean myself into getting into, so I like that it's become more of like a common thing.
Since I'm an artist myself, I like supporting the indie artists, so my favorite thing about any con is seeing the artist tables.
All in all, I had a fantastic experience with OzCon and hope to see it growing in future years. With that, back to you, Matt.
Today, May 4th, is International Star Wars Day. So grab your loved ones, hold them tight, take a seat, and watch a true masterpiece of American cinema. And until next time, may the Force be with you. The Weekly Recap is brought to you by Rice Chopper, cooking from scratch, the UPS store of Rolla, Bayard Dodge in West Plains, and the Ozarks Medical Center.